Bastards. Today I want to talk about light, because light is very important for every survival scenario. Because without light, an external light to say, you are very vulnerable. You are dependent on the daylight, and like you know, that's not the sort of society we live in. Um, we used to fear, as humans, as we evolve, we used to fear the nights. It's still the case. Why? Because in the darkness we don't feel safe. We don't know what's around us. So that's why it's important to have a source of light. Now I'm going to talk about different sources of light you can gather for your preparedness survival, as in your your bugging plan. First of all, what I want to say is, it can be very dark. Imagine, I will put the lights out. Imagine when the lights are out, you hear weird noises. Criminals are making their score in the neighborhood. You don't know what the footsteps in the streets are. You hear some noise at your window or your door. Imagine that, how scary that must be. So, just as an example of how the situation would feel, I'm gonna put it back on. So, a source of light. Well, better to get different sources of light. Of course, you can buy a generator or something to put the lights in your house on, but that's not really stealthy plan, I would say. Makes too much noise. Gas is not always, it will not be always available in every situation. So I want to concentrate on light sources for some long term, something that you can always keep in store and use when you in your stockpile, and use when you need it. So my always to go light source is the humble tea light. I bought boxes and boxes, even thousands of these things. Why not big candles? One would wonder. Well, I say this is perfect because you can measure how much light you're gonna use. If you have a big candle, you forget to put it out, it will be gone in the morning. If you are forgetful. This, if you forget to put this out, you will lose 6 to 8 hours of light. Not a big loss when you have, like me, boxes and boxes full of these things. So I would very advise the humble tea light. They are cheap and they burn efficient because they are the right diameter to burn full up. If you have a white candle, it will only burn in the middle and you have so much wax over that you have to reuse. This burns up and you only have the aluminium left. So that is my first thought to put in your stockpile as a light source. What is also handy about tea lights is, when it's cold, like in the winter, and there's a blackout or such situations, you can put several tea lights under a terracotta pot, like a flower pot, 2 bricks, terracotta pot, 3 light sources, and it can heat a room with a few degrees. It's like a little stove that radiates the heat that is contained in the ceramics of the flower pot. So also +1 for the tea light. So first of all, probably most people would take like this electric lights, and I always would advise, do not use with batteries, like those how do you call them, AAA or such batteries. In my case, they will always be flat when I have to use them. So I prefer an internal lithium battery or something you can recharge. In my case, I always recharge this light with my sun panels, solar panels. I even have a little wind turbine for when it's winter or dark and my solar panels are no use or not as much. And I can charge this with a dynamo that is on top here. 3 ways to recharge this type of light. These are from Goal Zero. There's a small 1, 2. These can, on the lowest setting, like this, you can have 400 hours of light with these. That's why I like these. But when you go on full, like both sides, full brightest, only 8 hours. So, depends on the situation how you want to use it. These are perfect for that. Rechargeable. I like him. I like them a lot. So, next, in the electric department, I would say my trusty cranked flashlight. Just, you can crank it every time you need it. So, always handy to keep in your. I always keep it around when where the fuse box is. So when the electricity falls out or a fuse is out, I always have a light direct to use it and try to start the system back up. So keep these around in your house, very handy. Like I showed in my bug out bag, the trusty headlight. You can put it on your head, and you have both hands free to do whatever. For repairs, for climbing on stuff in the night, to look what's going on, and in case of self-defense, you have both hands free for a possible burglar. So that's always handy to keep your bug out bag and in your bug-in stockpile. Close it now. Next, I also keep this in my bug out bag, but it's also handy in the home. This is an emergency radio. Like you can see, it has solar panels above it, a crank system. You can even recharge rechargeable batteries, and my solar lamp with this if you have the right cables. So that's also handy. The light, it's just a small light, but it will be sufficient in a blackout situation. So, going to the next. Some people like to keep their cam lights in the bug out bags and in the bug-in preparedness. These don't give much light, to be honest. It's more to lighten a certain spot on, like your fuse box, the exits, so that you can always find it in the dark when your regular lights go out. You can toss it in where there is around danger or something to see what's going on. Oh, this one is an old. So that's an accident to be happening. We'll keep this a little bit away. Bastard. So that's another reason why I don't like the cam lights. When you store them too long and you try to break them, they break easily. Like when they are been under cold or too old, like you can see I have right here. So another lesson learned right live on the camera. Next, I like to keep this. It's a storm lantern. These are fueled with petroleum. They burn a lot, give a little heat, which is handy for in winter time. But be warned, I keep my door here open. Why? Because of the monoxide that this thing produce, especially when you use a big flame. But it is very handy for in your garage or outside, or that's why it's called a storm lantern. I will show you in the dark. You can crank it up, gives much light, but you can see it already starts to give a lot of smoke. So I will put it down just for safety. don't use open flames in a closed area. That is very dangerous to suffocate from monoxide. You can easily crank this on, put this off. So that's that. Next, like I told you, we'll put this right here. So with the lanterns, you can also use a tea light, which is very handy. These don't give much light, but they warm the room, give a little light, and these will burn for around 6 to 8 hours, and sometimes even 12 hours when you have the special ones. But it's safe. When you knock it down, it will not go on something that easily burns. Very handy. You have like these, they use as decoration, but there are also models that you use like the regular storm lantern, but with a tea light. Very handy, very safe. I just love these things to use. Yeah. What you also can do are improvised lights. Like this thing, I will show you. It's a little bit hot now, but like you can see, put the light a little bit out. This thing is just a regular drinking can. I will put the light back on. That is cut open, and I put a little tea light in it. What does the tea light now do? The open can is very smooth on the inside. It will reflect some of the light the candle makes, so it's a brighter light than you just use a tea candle in an open room. But be very careful. Don't knock this around. It's very difficult to carry because the metal gets hot on the above side, eventually on the other side, under side. So it's just an improvised way to make a light and make a bigger light from something small. And another way, I would only recommend this to use in a bug out situation or outside of your house or in a well ventilated garage. What is this? It's just the lower side of a can cut in half. I put rolled newspapers or pieces of carton in it, spirally wise, and I poured wax like from candles in it, so it goes between every crack. What can you do with this? It's just a very long, big candle. You can. I will not put it on right now because this thing gives a lot of smoke. I will not risk it to do this in my basement. Just put it on. It will burn for very long. One time it burned 12 to even 16 hours. So an improvised way, recycle something for some good use. Perhaps you can use it on parties. I like it. It's very handy. Next, this is technically just a jar can with a metal lid on it. I bored a hole in the top side, put some cotton through it. I filled this up with regular olive oil. This is just an improvised oil lamp. I will not I will not put this on because it will give such a flame this big, and when, like I said, it's very dangerous to suffocate when prolonged used or in tight spaces that are not ventilated. But it's just a way to make light when you're out of other options. What I like to do with this is just for decoration candles, or for the outside or in the garage or something cozy. Instead of regular olive oil, you can also use grease or fat oil from cooking. I always gather that, put it in one bottle, and fill this up and sometimes it will give a false smell, hence the way I only use it outside, but just a little idea to do. So these are the ways to make lights and have other sources of light during a blackout. When times are hard, you can recycle something like the improvised ways, like I told you, and to make heat multifunctional. And those are ways to make light when the grid is down. Oil, gasoline, electricity are less available, like in many people have suffered in during war times, or other natural disasters that could happen. So just some ideas. I hope you learned something from it. I hope it has helped. Certainly the part about the chem lights, like you see how I fucked it up. So I learned something. Hopefully you did too. Bye. See you in the next video.